The 49ers record improved, but did their team improve? We'll discuss that and more next on the Cohn Zone. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Cohn Zone. We're the Cohns, Grant Cohn, Lowell Cohn. I just got back from Tampa last night, learned a lot about Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers this weekend, but we're covering the 49ers. And they won a very tightly contested game. It was emotional. What did we learn about the Niners this weekend?
Okay, I want to start slow. Usually we say every game, every weekend is a different universe, and that's true. And we say we're going to learn a lot about the 49ers in this game. They had played 8 games before this, and I didn't really think I had learned a lot about them, particularly in the first 8 games. I felt this was different, that I really did learn a lot about them in this game. And I think, Iggy, we both learned a lot of things. So let's maybe take turns. If you don't mind, I'll go first. The cliche is a lot of times teams will lose a game, but they played really well. Let's say the loss, but it felt like a win, which always I don't approve of because a loss is a loss. I'm saying this win felt like a loss, but in a way I don't approve of it because a win is a win, and it improved their record, and they pulled out a game. But in a lot of ways, it felt like a loss. So if you don't mind going in that context, and what did we learn about them? We learned that they still have trouble holding on to a lead at the end of a game. And that's one reason that it felt like a loss. I mean, this was their 4th loss in a row. They're really not a very good team. They gave the Niners everything they were worth. And at the end of that game, I'm not even getting into the Debo fight yet. I'm just talking about the defense. When Tampa was driving to tie the game, Iggy, I think there were either 3 or 4 plays in a row where their Niners had a defensive penalty to help the Buccaneers. How many was it?
It was 3 in a row and 4 in the drive.
3 in a row and 4 in the drive. I knew there was a 4th in there somewhere. So here's what I want to say. What I learned about them, the Niners, is their defense still sucks at the crucial end of a game. Mm-hmm. I learned that. What else did you learn?
Well, I thought it was interesting. Like, to me, they played in this game the way they've been playing all season. And when they did it before the bye week, we gave them excuses like, well, it's September, it's October, they don't have McCaffrey. They've done this before. They kind of start slow, but then you wait until the bye week. McCaffrey's going to come back. This team has championship pedigree. They can flip a switch. They know what it takes. And they didn't. This is exactly how McCaffrey came back, still couldn't score in the red zone consistently. It just feels like they're definitely a middle of the road team, all things considered. McCaffrey isn't going to launch them into the top 5. They're like the 13th best team in the league.
I have to agree with you. I thought it was possible that they were a middle of the road team that was about to launch itself. This didn't seem like a team that was going to launch itself. This seemed like a team that would struggle against pretty good teams. Another thing I learned, or was reinforced for me, I really question Kyle Shanahan's judgment both during games and after games when he talks to the media. Iggy, I don't understand why he only gave Jordan Mason one run.
It's just bad judgment.
And let me just say, I know he had a bad shoulder, but he was active for the game. And when he ran, he got 5 yards. Mm-hmm. He didn't seem particularly hurt. And so you get your new toy or your old toy back. So all of a sudden, the guy's the 4th leading rusher in the league, and he gets 1 rush in the whole game. And this is not a knock on McCaffrey, but I think as a running back at this moment, Jordan Mason is a better running back, not a better player. That was that great catch that McCaffrey made. I mean, you use him judiciously, but I think what happened is, first of all, Kyle seems to be very narrow-minded for a very creative man. I got this one guy, so screw the other guy. Yeah. And in addition, I think he panicked in the second half. I can't use Jordan Mason. I really need to use Christian McCaffrey if I'm going to win this damn game. And he underused Jordan Mason and overused Christian McCaffrey. I think it was really almost immoral how much he used him coming from that injury.
And it was funny. It was either after the game or yesterday in the conference call. Someone asked Kyle, like, you really rode McCaffrey hard in his first game back. How come? And Kyle, what do you think he said? What do you think he said?
He was up to it. I didn't think it was a problem.
I don't think we rode him hard. 19 touches. That's less than what he normally gets. So, and then to me, like, all of that is true. What's more not embarrassing, but like disconcerting about it is they had 14 days to prepare for this team. The Bucs have the worst defense in the league statistically over the last 5 games. They're missing all kind of players. And that's the best you could do. 23 points and a bunch of field goals, only 2 touchdowns. And then they were really in control of the game. But in the fourth quarter, it looked like they might give it away. They're clearly better than the Bucs. And in that brief moment where it was unclear if the Niners would pull it out, they started fighting with themselves. One guy went over to the other, and one guy was protecting the other. And it's like, I don't know, that it seems like a team that almost expects to lose and is preemptively looking for people to blame as opposed to pulling together.
Scapegoats. It's not what good teams do. It's not what Detroit does. Detroit, you get the feeling they're a team. They came back against Houston. They were playing crummy, and no one got into any fights.
Now, no one had to go up to Jared Goff and yell at him and tell him to lock in.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're talking about is Debo went up to the kicker, Moody, and according to the coach said lock in. Mm-hmm. And then somehow there was a fracas, and he ended up choking the long snapper Pepper.
Yeah.
Who Iggy I'd never heard of. I mean,
well, he's a long snapper.
But what I'm saying is Debo went after the 2 most vulnerable people on the team.
It was stunningly brave what Debo did.
It was just so not what a teammate does. I never saw Joe Montana do things like that. It is so not what a teammate does. And then So everything's falling apart. The defense is making all these penalties. And then there's a fight on the sideline while the game is going on. And from what I understand, he choked him, and then he kept coming back to him.
Right.
So this is a team that what I learned is this is a team that is not really together. Okay. But then Kyle talks about it. I'm going to sneeze. You say what Kyle said.
Well, after the game, he said, there wasn't really much to talk about. It's football, they're brothers, which just seems like a fair thing to say. They'll work it out. But then yesterday on the conference call, he says that he really took Debo's side. He was like, well, Debo was just going over there telling him to lock in, and Tabor Pepper overreacted a little bit. Like, I like him standing up for his guys, but there was really nothing to stand up for.
Okay. First of all, when he says in the first thing, football players get into fights, that's absolutely true. It happens all the time. These are very physical men, and they're emotional, and they get over it. It happens in training camp all the time, Miggy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they go in the locker room, and they're okay. So I agree with that. I have no problem with that. Although I am not convinced Debo said lock in. Mm-mm. We just have the coach's word for it. The coach wasn't there. So it's possible he said lock in. It's possible they lied to Shanahan, or it's possible Shanahan edited the words when he spoke to the media. I have no idea. But you let it ride. You say these were football players. They fought. We made it up. We're brothers. He takes Debo's side? Yeah. Why? Now he makes the long snapper who stood up for his teammate. Debo didn't stand up for his teammate. The long snapper stood up for his teammate. Makes him look like the villain in the piece and a schmuck.
Yep.
And a schmuck. And again, so what did
Sensitive.
I learn? Oversensitive.
Yeah.
Not a man. Not a man.
Yeah.
And so what did I relearn about Shanahan? He has the worst judgment.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about play calling. I'm talking about people management. That's part of being a coach. He sucks. He absolutely sucks at it, Iggy. And he did it again.
Yeah, he does suck at it. I mean, he really does. It seems to me if this exact situation were playing out on the sideline of the Lions or the Chargers or the Ravens, it wouldn't be one of the players going up to the kicker. It would be Dan Campbell, Jim
Yeah.
Harbaugh, John Harbaugh. And these guys aren't cheerleaders. They're leaders. They're not cheerleaders. They're leaders. And Kyle Shanahan, I don't think he is a leader. He might be friends with Deebo Samuel and certain players on the team, but I think his main function on Sundays is play calling. Beyond that, I don't think he does much. And I think the Niners are a terrific example of an NFL team that essentially doesn't have a head coach.
In that sense of someone who can pull a team together, because clearly at the end of the game, before they won with the 41 seconds to go, the team was falling apart, coming apart, fighting against itself, and they were not together like the Lions are, and he did not know how to change that. I'm going to say something else, Ziggy. In the next to the last drive, you're better at this than I am. They got the ball back with about 7 minutes to go. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And they could have closed out the game. Right then and there, they were up by 3 points, right? Or was it tied at that point? At the next to the last drive.
Next to the last drive, they get the ball up 3 and do nothing. They go
and he
4 and
passed
out.
the ball. He passed the ball.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And I'm watching the game. I was away.
2nd and 7 pass. And Purdy fumbles. 3rd and 7 pass tipped at the line of scrimmage. Punt.
Yeah. I mean, a football 101. You can close out the game. Run the ball.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
Yeah.
Put Jordan Mason in and run the ball. These other guys are tired. They don't have a good defense. And you go 4 and out. That gave them a chance to tie the game.
Yes, it did.
And if Purdy weren't brilliant in the last 41 seconds, they would have been in overtime.
Or if the Buccaneers had scored a touchdown when they got down to the 5-yard line, if they had scored a touchdown, it's 2nd and goal from the 5. That's a touchdown instead of a field goal. The Niners lose.
The Niners lose to that team.
Yeah.
So again, not only do what I've learned is I question him as a leader of men, Kyle. What the hell kind of play calling is that? You run the ball.
Yeah.
You run out the clock. You don't give them a chance.
Yeah. And it's like, I want to do the Passover question real quick. What is different? What makes this team different from all other Kyle Shanahan teams? Okay. So we're thinking, a lot of people were saying, hey, after the bye week, Christian McCaffrey comes back. Kyle has a pattern. His teams always go on these runs. Yeah, but there's something different about this team. This Kyle Shanahan team is the only Kyle Shanahan team that has lost 2 Super Bowls. And now I think, like, what kind of mental toll has that taken on the team? Do they still have the same self-belief that they can go on a run? Or when things start to go just a little bad, are they being like, here we go again? Whose fault is it? Oh, it's Jake Moody's fault. No, it's Tabor Pepper's fault. Like, Lions don't act like that.
They sure don't. No. Yeah. And part of what your point is, even if they begin to win games now, they may be thinking, well, we do well in the regular season, but when it really comes down to crunch time, he can't bring us. He's not Moses. He can't bring us to the promised land. And I'm telling you, I'm not in that locker room, but I know how football players think. Why am I breaking my chops for this guy?
Right. And the thing about the Moody situation, Debo's mad at Moody because Moody misses field goals. Sure, I understand. Moody's on the team because Kyle Shanahan wanted to take him in the 3rd round. And they haven't cut him because he was a 3rd round pick last year. And this wasn't his first bad game. So to me, Jake Moody is sort of like the personification of what's wrong with Kyle Shanahan having too much power. He's the play caller, the head coach, the general manager, the de facto owner. I mean, he's the Napoleon of the team. And there needs to be some checks and balances because that 3rd round pick was awful. And they got to get it. I think they got to get a new kicker. Maybe that's me being real. I know he's coming off a high ankle sprain, but to me, the issue with Moody has always been his confidence, not his leg. He's got a strong leg.
I don't know. All I know is what Brady kept. Brady was very generous to him. He said it's hard coming off a high ankle sprain. If that was the case,
they both went to Michigan.
Now you made me laugh.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is Kyle could have waited another week. What was the big hurry? He could have waited. The other guy was doing okay.
What was the big hurry? Why didn't he wait another week? Well, the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. They rushed Jake Moody back out. They rushed Christian McCaffrey back out there. Neither one's 100% themselves. Why did Kyle Shanahan do that, particularly with Christian McCaffrey? You brought it up a little bit earlier, but I think there were 62 snaps for the Niners on offense, and he was on the field for 56 of them.
Whoa. You know, no one would ever get this from Jordan Mason, but put yourself in Jordan Mason's head for a moment. I carried this team.
Mm-hmm.
I helped carry this team. I helped. I was really important, and it felt great.
Where would they be right now if it wasn't for me?
Yeah, it felt great. And now I'm like the water boy. You know,
I'm back to what I was the last couple of years. Like none of that happened.
Right. There were so many ways Kyle could have included Mason to make Mason feel important. And it would have helped McCaffrey and it would have helped the team. Iggy, I just really don't like that coach's judgment in so many ways, Guy. I just really don't like it.
I saw the Buccaneers do this. Their offensive coordinator's creative, Liam Cohn. I've seen the Lions do this. Both teams have good running backs, two of them. So what the Bucs will do is they'll put Rachaad White, number one, the better receiver, in the slot, and they'll put Bucky Irving in the backfield. You have two running backs on the field at the same time. You could hand off to Bucky. You could throw a screen to Rachaad White. How come the Niners can't do that? You could have Jordan Mason in the backfield. You could have Christian McCaffrey in the slot. Those are two of your five best weapons on offense. Get them both on the field. I would only improve things. I mean, again, as opposed to the fullback who goes in motion, and that's about it.
Yeah, he insists on keeping the fullback on the field. That's a puzzlement as well.
I mean, I'm sure the other team's happy about it. Thank you. No Jordan Mason this week? Great. He's extremely difficult to tackle.
Yeah. So, what I learned is that here's what I learned. Among the things I learned on Sunday is Kyle Shanahan never learns.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like he went into the bye week and was like, oh, guys, you give me 14 days. I'll figure everything out. We'll have a brand new offense. I got this. His solution was, we need Christian and Jake Moody stat pronto. They're going to fix this. And they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
again,
you said panic earlier in the show. It did feel like a panic move, bringing back Moody too early and using McCaffrey too much too soon.
Absolutely panic moves. I got to win this game. How am I going to do it? Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm not that confident that I can do this.
Yeah. And so again, my point when we started a few minutes ago was they won the game. All credit to them for that. Icky, it feels like a loss. We're not praising them.
No. I've been following their ranking in the NFL.com power rankings because I think the guy who does it, Eric Edholm, is very thoughtful and clearly watches their games. Coming into the week, they were 13th. After the win, they were 13th, which I think is freaking perfect. Wow. No raise, no drop. You are the 13th best team in the league. And you know who's better? Arizona.
Arizona may be better. Arizona is improving.
I mean, it's close, but they've played better so far. Maybe the Niners will overtake them down the stretch. But right now, Arizona's had the better season, and Kyler Murray has had a better season than Brock, as well as Brock has played.
Okay, I wanted to say one other thing I learned from the game. Brock is really good.
He is.
Iggy, I don't know that Kyler Murray may have better stats. I don't check. I don't like stats. I'd rather have Brock Purdy than Kyler Murray. I'll tell you that right now. And what he did in the last 41 seconds of that game was just gorgeous. It was gorgeous. He saved the coach's ass. He did, Iggy.
He saved the coach's ass. And it's not the first time he's done that.
No.
And it's like he got the ball back with 41 seconds left and only needed a field goal. It's like, I mean,
you knew it was
going to happen.
Yeah, it was like he was Patrick Mahomes. You knew it was given. It was they were going for checkmate, and you knew it, and you knew they'd get it. That's how I really, really like to watch Brock Purdy work. I do.
His touchdown pass to George Kittle was one of the best plays of his career.
Yeah.
Just holding the ball, and then finally seeing Kittle and throwing it to a spot where only Kittle could catch it. That was incredible.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
something else I learned. This I learned. Baker Mayfield is tougher than Nick Bosa. Iggy, that play where Bosa had his arm and was Mayfield was running away and Bosa had his arm and he couldn't bring him down. And then I think he threw for a first down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or was it an
He did.
8-yard
He
gain?
did. Yeah, it
Yeah.
almost looked like
I mean,
Bosa was holding his hand, guiding him across the street.
Iggy, there was some plays in that game that I've never seen in my life. And poor Baker Mayfield is really courageous. You know, he's got Yo-Yo. He had RB holding on to him, and he wouldn't go down. He wouldn't stop running. He was going to make the goddamn pass, and he did. And there's Bosa looking like a schlemiel.
Bosa looking like a schlemiel. Let's talk about panic one more. I want to go back to the theme of panic because I think it's right on. So Kyle Shanahan overuses McCaffrey because he's panicked about winning this game. He rushes Jake Moody back for the same reason. And again, fans, coaches, players on this team are all expecting it to be easy again. It's going to look like last year. They're going to flip the switch, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think panic starts to set in again like, our magic solution isn't working. We're freaking losing to the Bucs. Oh my God. And they panic again as a team because Kyle's solution wasn't a solution.
Yeah, they had Wonder Boy back and they still couldn't do it.
Kyle, what's plan B? What's plan B? Yell at the kicker? Okay, I'll yell at the kicker.
Yeah, I know. And listen, do you think now that McCaffrey's back, they're going to go into super mode in the next few games? I think this is who they are, Iggy.
I don't know that they have another gear, Dad. I think they're stuck in third gear.
Stuck in third gear. I mean, the McCaffrey effect was no effect. And I think this is who they're going to be now.
In the past, I think, especially with McCaffrey and Purdy on the field together, once those two guys started playing together through last year, I thought it was pretty easy they would win easily most of the time. They would win easily most of the time. They don't win easily ever anymore. And I just don't think the team is accustomed to scrapping like that anymore. They're just waiting for it to get easy again, and it's not going to get easy this year.
You know, you're right. They don't have now. Again, Purdy does have the scrappiness.
So does Juwan Jennings. So does Ricky Pearsall. Some of these guys do, but a lot of them don't anymore.
No, I agree with you. And the Bucs, who were so overmatched and didn't have wide receivers, they were scrappy, Iggy.
Now Debo can scrap with the long snapper, but he's not as scrappy out there as he used to be.
No,
he's not the running back he used to be.
He's a selective scrapper.
Selective scrapper. I have to agree. And you know what's another thing about I learned about this team, going back to that, George Kittle, phenomenal player.
Oh.
And every time it seems like he has a big game, he's on the injury report the next week. Like it seems like he's playing through 3 injuries at a time to do this, which makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, and Kyle got him the ball about 15 times, right, in the game?
No, it was like 3 times. And it's like, why don't you get him the ball more? Well, we don't really know how many injuries he really has. Maybe they're doing the best they can.
Or they didn't want to give him the ball because he had Christian McCaffrey back.
That's a good point. Why get the ball to your best player when you can get the ball to your not best player?
Yeah, why would you give it to Kittle when you had Christian McCaffrey back?
I mean, after the game, McCaffrey said, I didn't really feel 100% myself. Okay, well then tell your coach and I say, hey, Jordan, you feel like 100% yourself, right? Go out there and average 5 yards a carry while I'm averaging 3.
Iggy, you know what I mean? I'm flabbergasted, but I have to admit, I'm also in some way amused because we learn, but this Schlemiel doesn't learn. I don't understand.
And it seems like he's been avoiding hard work this year. Like McCaffrey goes down. All right, man, build a new offense that accounts for his absence. And he can't. Like the passing game falls apart. The red zone falls apart. They don't get yards after the catch anymore. And he's like, it's okay. Christian will come back. I don't have to change anything. No, you got to change something, man. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Belichick 2024 says, Grant, genuine question. Do people still read articles or is it primarily video now? Yes, people still read articles, which is why SI.com is doing really well. Check me out there. What I will say, though, is I feel like people just have a shorter attention span in general, no matter what they're doing. So there are certain places that like specialize in 10,000 word think pieces. I don't know that those do as well anymore as like a 400 word article would this year.
Yeah, what I found, first of all, when I was a columnist, I generally wrote around 800 words, a little more, a little less, but generally around 800 words. And I think that's a good length. The Athletic, which I don't read very much, and I don't have a subscription, but their articles go on forever, Iggy, and I'm a reader. And if it's like, come on, get to the point. Do you expect me to hang in there that long? And these two guys who went over to the SF Standard, they're still writing stuff like for the Athletic, and their things are, from my point of view, way too long.
Joseph for real says, I know emotions impact the Tide. However, I dislike that Purdy is the only participant in breathing techniques. His healthy stoicism is seasoning that spices up the team in a way unsound emotions can't.
I love it.
I didn't know about the breathing techniques. Did you know about the breathing techniques?
No, I try.
You try?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some sleeper picks as we.
I knew you were going to say
techniques.
that. I knew it. Okay.
He knew it. How do you know?
I could feel it.
It's that time. It's the time of the show. He's been on a show before.
What time? I said.
Okay, we got our sleeper picks for for the Niners and the Seahawks. They're playing the Seahawks. This segue is good into our next topic.
Oh yeah,
Purdy. Oh God, Purdy. We're talking. What are we talking here for Purdy? 260. What? Huh? Okay, 261.5 passing yards.
For Purd?
For Purd. Purd's the word.
I'm going to say more.
Me too.
He's good, and these Seahawks are dreadful.
Dreadful is the correct word. Geno Smith, 254.5 passing yards against the Niners. He went for 312 against the Niners in the loss, to be fair, in Seattle.
I don't like him, Iggy. I'm going to say fewer.
Me too.
I'm sorry. I think he's a very nice man. But he's not.
For those who haven't watched us before, just note that my dad's PhD in English literature from Stanford will not allow him to say less in this context. It's fewer.
I have trouble with that. Yeah.
You hear that, sleeper? Kenneth Walker, 59.5 rushing yards for the Seahawks guy.
Yeah, more.
Went for 32 against the Niners in Seattle.
More.
Does
that look like a good run defense free to you?
Oh, all you got to do is stick with it deep into the game.
Yeah, just stick with it.
Stick with it. Debo. Hold on.
Oh, I want to do Debo.
They won't let us do Debo.
Will they let us do Juice?
No. Unfortunately, we can't do Debo. Although I kind of want to do Debo. So why don't we do Debo instead of Purdy? Because we can only do one or the other. So let's do Debo. 59.5 receiving yards for Debo.
No way.
We're going less on Debo. We're taking less. DK, yeah, that's enough. No, you know what we want to do? You know what we could do today? Warriors. What do you think about that, Dad? They're hot, and they're playing Clay. We got the Clay reunion. Clay's coming back to town, Dad. He doesn't seem happy. Steph, 25.5 points.
Oh, more. Iggy, is Steph the most wonderful player
I've ever seen?
I love him.
He's great.
Look, I don't know him personally, but when I dealt with him as a media member, he was so nice. He never had a day when he wasn't nice. He's patient. He's smart. I don't think LeBron James is as nice as him. And what's more, I think he's a better player than LeBron James ever was.
I think Stephen Curry, I mean, if he wins one more championship, he could go down as the greatest player of all time. And what he did in the Olympics this year, I think reminded people that he's actually underrated. He's still the best player in the freaking world.
Yeah.
It's not Luka Doncic. It's not Giannis. It's freaking Steph.
Yep. He saved the American team.
Yeah. He saved the country, Dad.
I see what you mean. It's true. We just had a presidential election, but that's not as important as what Steph did.
It's not. It's really not. Okay. Clay. What's up with Clay? Points, 3-pointers, 2.5 3-pointers. Is he going to make more or less, fewer than 2.5 3-pointers?
He'll make more.
You
know why? Because he really wants it.
Yeah, right.
He really wants it. Oh, triple single.
Points, rebounds, and assists combined, 18.5.
Okay, let me think it through a minute. I think, I'm going to give him more. Triple
Okay.
single.
Triple single. I like that. I think we're going to stick at 6. Those are the picks we got. 3 from Niners Seahawks, 3 from Mavs Warriors. They're all correct, but just to be safe, we'll flex it. Submit the entry. Your location, California picks contest. All right, what?
Uh-oh.
Boom, done. That's what I'm talking about. Download the Sleeper app yourself. Use promo code Cohn, that's COHN, it's the Jewish spelling, and get a signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. Get entered to win it. I'm giving it away this week. There you go. Okay, Dad. We just talked about the Seattle Seahawks. They're a terrible team, and the Niners play them again this week. What are you looking for in this matchup?
I'm looking for the Niners to kill them.
Yeah.
Kill them. There was a big deal made that they got this coach. I look at that coach on the sideline. He looks already like he's had enough. That coach looks so down in the mouth. They stink, Iggy. They really stink. And so we're going to talk about it a little later, but there are certain games where I feel I know the verdict already on the Niners schedule. And the verdict on this game is they're going to easily beat the Seahawks, and they'll be 6-4. And that'll be a good record. And a lot of people, will hear, oh, they're 6-4. That's really good. They're going to win. And then after that, the floor is going to cave in on them. But they will be 6-4, and they're going to beat this miserable team.
What annoys me about the Seahawks, they've had a week to prepare. They have a bye week. They're rested. They have 3 really good wide receivers, legitimately. They have 2 good running backs. And yet they suck. Yeah. Because their quarterback sucks. He doesn't suck, but he's not good. And their defense really sucks, which is kind of surprising because the head coach is supposed to be like the defense guru, and he's definitely not. So, yeah. Gino.
Don't you get the feeling that that's a team that's already, in a way, begin to pack it in?
Yep. They know it's over. They're not going to go into the bye week and find solutions to their problems in a second wind. It's over.
I think it's over for them. They smell of football death.
And they know it. And they're probably looking at that coach like, what did we do here?
Yeah. And the players with the quarterback, they must look at him. He's a nice man. And Iggy, the thing with Geno Smith, he makes some nice throws. Mm-hmm. He has a good arm. He can run to his right and make throws on the run. But he'll also kill you. And good quarterbacks don't throw picks, don't throw passes like you want to hit yourself in the head. How did he throw that? He missed by 10 yards. He threw it in the ground. So he's a quarterback who's actually has skills, but he will kill you.
And there's something about his temperament as a competitor which kills me. Because, there's a lot of quarterbacks who are good, not great, like Baker Mayfield. Not the greatest quarterback, but a phenomenal competitor.
I agree.
He really thinks he's going to win these games. Does Geno really exude confidence like that? It almost seems like he's waiting for bad things to happen. And when he does, he looks up at God. It's like, again? Me? Yeah. Why?
Like he's Job, right?
Yeah.
Like he's Job. Yeah, I know. And you feel he might break into tears.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that he replaced Russell Wilson, who's better than him. They did the Niners and the whole division a favor by getting rid of Russell Wilson. I understand he was too expensive, but man, he's doing a great job for the Steelers, and the Seahawks would be legitimately much better if they still had Russell Wilson.
I think so. And the Steelers, what are they, 7-2 now?
And they're undefeated with Russell. And what's funny is Russell's 18-3 in his career against the Niners, never lost. Now the roles are reversed. Brock Purdy, I think he's 6-0 in his career, 6-0 in his career against the freaking Seahawks. They got to watch that little Vance run around and make plays for the next 10 years. They got to watch that.
I
wish I could say more about this upcoming game, but I really don't like the Geno Smith era in Seattle. It's pathetic.
Okay, so what we can say about this game is it's a game they're going to play. They're going to play, they're going to win, and then they're going to move on. And if they're 13th now, they're going to still be 13th after they beat the Seahawks.
Okay, let's play an over-under game for the Seahawks game. Just Okay.
Okay.
Over under field goals missed 1.5.
By Moody,
Yeah.
under. I think he's going to get it together.
Sideline fights 0.5.
I would like to say over, but I think they're probably not going to have any more fights.
Second half leads blown 0.5.
More. Although here's the thing, I don't think the Niners are ever going to trail in the game. So I can't. I'd like to address that, but I can't. Iggy, the Seahawks really stink.
They really stink. That's the thing about the Seahawks.
I don't see them having a lead.
Let's just remind people how much the Seahawks really stink. So they lost to the Rams before the bye week. They lost to the Bills. That's understandable. They beat the Falcons somehow, lost to the Niners, lost to the Giants.
Oi, see, that's right there.
So, yeah. And if the Niners somehow lose to the Seahawks, it's over.
Yeah, but let's not even go there. Let's not go negative.
Let's not go negative. Joshua Wyatt says there was one play that was a microcosm for the Niners offense. It could have scored, but they rushed 5 and 3 Bucs met at the quarterback in 1.4 seconds. Purdy had to loft to CMC the perfect ball, and it gave the safety time to rotate over.
Yeah. I like the word microcosm.
Microcosm. All right, Dad. 8 games left. They're 5-4. Let's go through the schedule and decide which games are absolute locks as wins, as losses, and which ones could go either way in order.
Okay. And then we'll come up with what we think their season-ending record will be.
Okay. So they're 5-4. They've won 2 in a row. This week they got the Seattle Seahawks, a powerhouse. Who are you going with?
Absolutely the Niners. A lock.
Okay.
Lock in. Lock in.
6-4. They're already 6-4, essentially. Lock it in. For Debo, in honor of Debo and Tabor Pepper. We're going to lock that one in. How come no one told Debo to lock it in when he had 3 catches on 11 targets in the Super Bowl? That's neither here nor there. Okay, 6-4. Packers, November 24th in Green Bay.
Guaranteed loss.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It could be raining. It could be snowing.
It could be the Packers.
Yeah, the Packers have beaten the Cardinals. They've beaten the Texans. They've beaten the Rams. They've, yeah. I think that's okay. And then the next week on the road against the Bills.
That's 6-5.
7. That's 6-5.
6-5 against the Bills. Absolute loss.
Absolute loss. 6-6. Next week at home, December 8th against the Bears.
I'd say that's a win.
I think so too. They just fired their offensive coordinator. Their rookie quarterback is playing really poorly. It doesn't seem like they're going to fix their things this year. So that's 7-6. Then Thursday night game, quick turnaround at home against the Rams. 3rd game in 11 days.
Okay, hold on. See, this game, like several others, could go either way.
Yeah.
Either team could. They're both no good. Either team could win that game. But okay, I'll take the Niners.
Just based on how bad the Rams were last night. I mean, God.
Yeah. So that makes it 8-6.
8-6. Dolphins.
That's another one.
In Miami.
In Miami. Could go either way. I'm going to pick the Niners.
I'm going to pick the Niners too. Tua
9-6.
Can't get his head out of the way. Will he get his head out of the way, please? I'm getting frustrated with him. He throws a pick and tackles a guy with his head. Tua, stop! No one wants to see you do that. Sorry. Okay.
9-6.
9-6. Detroit.
A loss. Absolutely. 9-7.
9-7. In the final game is in Arizona against the Cardinals. That could go either way.
I feel that's a loss. So what we got with the Niners, and I think this is fair, Iggy, they're either a 10-7 or a 9-8 team. Because there's going to be something funny that happens that we can't predict. Let's give them 10-7. Does that get them into the playoffs?
If they beat Arizona in that final game and get to 10-7, it should. Although Arizona has a much easier schedule down the stretch than the 49ers do. Should we go through that real quick? Let's just real quick what Arizona has left. They're 6-4. They have a bye week now. They come back. They got Seattle. That's a win. Seattle. They got Minnesota.
Tough.
That's a loss. That would be 7-5. They got Seattle again, 8-5. Patriots, 9-5. Panthers, 10-5, and then Rams, Niners to finish it up. So, I mean, the Niners they may not be able to catch the Cardinals. They may have to get a bye. They may have to beat the Packers and get a wild card spot.
The Cardinals could be 11-12 or 12 wins, and the Niners. You and I, we tentatively agree that 10 wins is their top. Yeah. They could be a 9-win team.
Yes.
So
I don't see them getting to 11 wins. That would be not the way they played a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I mean, if they had so much trouble with the Buccaneers, they're going to do great against Green Bay in Green Bay. Iggy, I just don't see it.
I just don't see it either. If they beat Green Bay, now they're in business. But they haven't done that yet.
They haven't beaten anyone so far this season where you say they're in business. They don't have a game.
No, I mean, again, Tampa was scrappy and they played tough, but worst defense in the league, missing 2 starting wide receivers.
Yeah.
Not the most impressive win.
It was a win that felt like a loss. We haven't,
but at least there wasn't a full-blown melee on their sideline. It was just 2 guys who got in a fight.
3. There was
It's 3.
It could have been like tag team wrestling. You know what I mean?
Oh, here comes Trent Williams off the 3rd turnbuckle. Oh, with the elbow. Oh, here comes Kyle Shanahan with the chair. He hit him with the chair. That's against the rules.
Remember your grandmother used to think that was real? Noni used to.
Yeah, it's true. Real. I would spend the night over there and we'd watch in the morning, and she would sit there just like, this is terrible. Why would they do this to each other? This is terrible. Oh, man.
I don't know why, but I'm having a lot of fun today. It's because I really feel finally I know something about the Niners. And what I know is they're a middle-of-the-road team. I don't know why they're a middle-of-the-road team. I think if they had a coach who knew how to coach, they'd be an elite team in the league. I don't get it, but it seems to be their reality.
It seems like they're a collection of talent more than a team, and that of all the rosters in the league, they're probably the one underperforming the most or among the most. Then you got freaking Jim Harbaugh over with the Chargers doing the Jim Harbaugh thing. They have the best defense in the league. Justin Herbert's playing the best ball of his career. You think Jed notices? I think the Yorks notice.
I think they have convinced themselves that Harbaugh is so toxic that they don't even pay attention.
I think the Yorks convince themselves that coaches like Harbaugh are fake, that they're rah-rah, and that their enthusiasm wears off, and that they're nothing but cheerleaders. But I think we're starting to see that Kyle is like on the complete other end of the spectrum, where his contributions are schematic, they're play calling decisions, but there's not a whole lot of like emotional or personal leadership, coaching, whatever you want to call it, that he contributes to the team. It used to be Saleh would do that, D'Amico Ryans would do that. Now it's Debo.
I love it. I'll tell you who Kyle is. He's a fancy Dennis Allen.
Yep.
He's Dennis Allen. I knew Dennis Allen when he coached the Raiders. Absolutely no personality. Mm-hmm. Always thought about his defense and that stuff. And look, he couldn't even make it through this season. I think Kyle is a slightly upgraded Dennis Allen.
And, after the game, they asked him about, what'd you think of that fight? And he was like, I didn't see it. And I believe him. Why would he see something like that going on in his own sideline when he's glued to his play sheet? I completely believe him. I don't know. I was looking at my play sheet, man. There were so many choices. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do.
It's like he's got Gorilla Glue on his forehead and he has the play sheet on it. Yeah, he's really, why would he know there was a fight? What does he know about what goes on his sideline, right? Hey, me?
That's not my job. I call plays. That's Debo's job. I delegated it. Debo did a great job.
Yeah, and he just told him to lock in.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Sure, he put his hand on his throat. I could have done that. Who hasn't done that?
Yeah, but he said he called it a baby punch. Didn't he call it a baby punch? Iggy,
what is a baby punch?
I heard that adjective, the baby. He was trying to change reality. There is no such thing as a baby punch in that situation. And how do you know when a baby punch becomes a grown-up punch? At what point? He didn't even
when it has a bar mitzvah.
when it does the Haftorah, when the punch.
It's officially an adult at that point.
It was a baby.
And so Jerry
punch.
McDonald, after yesterday on the conference call, asked, "Well, would you consider a fine?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, if he broke a rule, but he didn't break a rule." Oh, so just putting your hands on your teammate's throat is kosher. Good to know. Good to know. Hey Tabor, I think you should try that with Debo. Debo drops a pass. I think you should go up to him on the sideline and see if Kyle Shanahan's rules are fair and equitable.
Iggy, if a fight had started and Pepper had started with Debo on Sunday, do you think Kyle would have had the same attitude that he did?
They would have traded him to a team in NFL Europe.
Right?
Yes. They would have deported Tabor Pepper. You have to live in Amsterdam now. You're gone. Sorry.
You have to go. You move to Germany and be coached by Jim Tom Sula. Right?
Yes. That's what would have happened. So
yeah.
Yeah. Niners seem pretty tight knit. Things are going. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and here comes win number 3.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
3 in a row.
Yeah. Win's a win in your face, Dad. Great show, Dad.
Great. I love you, Iggy.
Love you too. See you guys.